Hi everyone. There's a very specific relationship between the elasticity of a good and revenue to the sellers of that good, and I want to discuss that briefly. So first, let's just define revenue. Revenue is simply the price of the good times the quantity sold. So if we draw a demand curve, I'll put price on the y-axis and quantity on the x-axis. Here is a demand curve. Now I'm just going to pick a price. Let's say a price of 3 corresponds to a quantity of 4. Then the revenue is simply the price times the quantity sold, which is 12. And that, of course, is just the area here of this rectangle. 3 times 4 is 12. So it turns out that if we know whether or not demand for this good is elastic or inelastic, then we can automatically know what happens to revenue. Will it go up or will it go down? So that is going to allow us to answer some questions such as these. So let's say that the post office is considering raising the price of stamps yet again, and they want to know, is this going to bring them more revenue? That's their goal. Or will enough customers switch to email or other means of communication that the post office will actually lose money? Well, if the post office knows whether or not the demand for stamps is elastic, then they will automatically know the answer to this question. Likewise, if a state government is thinking about imposing a tax on cigarettes, they would like to raise revenue, but if that tax is high enough, will enough people quit smoking so that this won't happen? So that they don't actually raise revenue? Well, likewise, if the government knows whether or not the demand for cigarettes is elastic or inelastic, then they will automatically know what's going to happen to revenue. So instead of proving this mathematically, I'm just going to give you a little intuition behind it and summarize that intuition on this graph or this chart. So we want to know what happens to revenue when the price changes. So first of all, let's think of a good that we know has inelastic demand. So I'm going to argue that in all studies, gas has inelastic demand because basically people need gas to get to work, and if the price of gas goes up, yes, people might adjust their behavior a little bit. They might take fewer trips to the store to see their friends, but they're still going to need gas to get to work and other places. So given that we know gas is inelastic, the demand for it is inelastic, if the price of gas goes up, then people are going to buy almost as much gas as they did before, maybe a little bit less, but enough so that revenue to the sellers of gas is going to go up. So revenue is going up. On the other hand, if the price of gas goes down, people might buy a little bit more of it, but because it's inelastic, they won't buy that much more. So revenue is going to go down for the sellers of gas. Now let's think of a good that has elastic demand. So you might think of travel or diamonds or something like that. Let's just use diamonds. So basically, if we know it's elastic, then if the price of diamonds goes up, we know that people are going to buy quite a bit fewer diamonds. And so what's going to end up happening is that revenue is going to go down. And then on the flip side, if the price of diamonds goes down, there will be enough of an increase in the quantity demanded that revenue to those who sell diamonds is going to go up. So this is just a little bit of intuition, but again, this is a mathematical fact that if we know whether or not something is inelastic or elastic, we automatically know what happens to revenue.